Hi everybody, it's Cindy from Ideas2. Welcome back to our channel. Today I just sat down to craft and thought I'd turn the camera on. This might be a tutorial, it might be just a craft with me. I haven't really quite figured out what I'm going to make, although I have an idea of what I want to do today. And you can see I'm working on a Sherlock Holmes journal right now, and I found this cover, or this book, at the Antique Mall in Cincinnati, Ohio, week before last, and I just think it's amazing, and I think I'm probably going to leave it just as it is. And you know, it's got embossed here the Deer Slayer hat and magnifying glass, and it's on the side again as well. And I just thought it was too good to pass up, and because I want to leave the spine intact, I need to be really careful because I have a tendency to make my journals a little fluffy, let's say. I get a little carried away making ephemera and they get really big. And so with this one I decided I'm going to make just a 2-signature journal, and then for a 3rd signature I thought I'd maybe do something kind of like a case file and take a file folder, cut it down, and use that as kind of a 3rd signature. So that's kind of what I was thinking, and I've already gutted the book, and it doesn't have any pictures or anything, but the pages are great. And this is from 1960, so it's not any fantastic book. It's in good shape, and I'll be able to use a lot of the pages in my collages and whatnot. But like these pages, I think these are great in particular. I know I'll be using these because they just look so interesting. So I've already taken that out, and it's a little musty smelling. So I'm going to have to put that outside in the sun and try to get rid of some of that must before I use the pages. But this is going to be my cover as is. And so I've been curating already and found some things that I have in my stash. I'm going to use the cover. This is the dust jacket from the book, and I thought I might use that for something. Maybe make a bookmark out of the spine. Maybe for some collaging. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm definitely going to use it. And I've got some old postcards and envelopes and some ephemera cards and whatnot. Some vocab cards and all sorts of crazy things already. And I think I might use this today, and maybe those, and then a file folder. So my sister Betsy sent me some of these wonderful coffee stained papers, and this is a book page. It's German. It has very Gothic German font, and this report card envelope that I got in some Happy Mail from I want to say Mary, just up the road from where I live, and I think I'm going to use that as well today. But like I said, I'm just kind of making this up. So I do have this page I think I'm going to use to embellish the file folder. And the first thing I need to do is figure out the size. So about 5.5 by 8 1/4. And let's see, I will need this, actually, I want it to be 5.5 inches, but I'm going to trim it, and then I'm going to trace, I think, and recut. So I'm going to make it a little, I also want to fold it, give myself a little bit of a spine. But I'm going to start with cutting it down to size. And so, oh, 1/4 inch too tall. Forgot what I said. I should have written it down. Okay, so my height is good, and then I've left myself, as you can see, about 1/2 inch on the side, because I'm going to take this and use it as a template to cut it down. About 1/4, to give myself back the shape of the file folder, and then I'm going to also fold it to give myself a little bit of a spine. So that's my plan. That's the plan anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and fold it first, or next. I'm going to use my ruler. I can't. That first fold always, that first one always gives me a little bit of a problem, even following that line. So that'll give me that little bit of a spine. And I think I want the tab to be on the top. If I was more conscientious, I would measure, and maybe I should. But that is not my strength. And then I'm going to do the same with this. I want the tab to stick out of the book. Which is one reason I cut it a little bigger. And I'm going to do a hidden spine, I think, for the binding, because I don't want to ruin that gorgeous spine of my book cover. And so I'm not quite sure what that's going to do to the overall well, hidden spine's not my favorite, so I always worry about that, and I'm kind of bringing on problems that haven't happened yet. But I feel like hidden spine, I may have some issues with this being too wide, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. just used the file folder itself as my template to give myself this mini file folder. So far so good. I like it when things kind of work out the way in real life, the way they do in my head. Because that is so frustrating when you have an idea in your head and you go to make it happen and it doesn't quite work. But I think that looks really good. We'll check the size now that it's cut down. And that should, I want just the one tab sticking out of the book, and I think that's going to be perfect. So I'm going to erase my pencil marks. So far so good. On the inside, I do want to put some kind of pockets and maybe a double pocket. And I have scraps. I'd like to use scraps. And I've got tons of other file folder scraps. File folders are one of my favorite things. So I have a bunch of scraps. I'm a school teacher, and I have joked before that I became a school teacher because I like school supplies, and that's there's some truth to that for sure. So I've got these scraps I'm going to use, I think, for making pockets, and I'm not quite sure what kind of pockets I want to make. What do you think? Let's see. Okay, I kind of like a nice big probably on this side, a nice big pocket. Maybe just do a simple pocket on this side. Paper cutter again. Put that there. And I think I'm changing my mind and would rather have a side. Let's see. Take one of these and maybe do a nice big side pocket. I think might be more what I'm looking for. So let's start with that. Instead of eyeballing it, at least I can measure it that much. And just a little estimate here. Yeah, I think I like that better than what I originally had planned. And then I can put lots of stuff in here. Maybe I will take one of these and put it in the front as another pocket. Put it here like this. And on the other side, do I want to do the same thing on the other side? Or I think I'm going to put some papers in here as well, so I don't want the pockets to get too bulky, because my spine is only that big, and I could make it another 1/4 of an inch, but I don't think I want to. I need to keep the size of this under control, which is which is really hard for me. I'm not very good at that. I have issues. I make so much ephemera, and I fill my books. I want to make sure if I'm selling it that people get get their money's worth, and so I have a tendency to fill everything pretty full. So and maybe I will use this as a pocket, but it's too tall. I want to make it a little smaller. Let's do something simple on this other side. Something like that. I think that's going to work. I think that's going to work well. And then I'm going to put some papers in there as well, so that, get rid of my scraps here. And I think I need to make some tabs. So excuse my reach. And make one on here as well. Some thumb tabs there. I think that's gonna be perfect. But because this is going in a vintage book, and I'm doing a vintage style junk journal, I'm going to go ahead and ink all my edges, and I'm just going to glue this in. Normally I would sew, but because I want the outside to stay looking like a file folder and be a little case file, I want to kind of keep that style on the inside as well. And I'm probably going to embellish everything with, I don't know, labels and whatnot. So, if you are interested in making something like this, I can give you measurements, of course, but I made this to go in my book. So, with the tabs, the width of the book is just a little over 5.5 inches, and is about 8 1/10 tall, has that 1/4 inch spine. But if you do that, if you want to make something like this, make it to and make it to fit your book. Just, cut it to the size that you need. If you have a little bit of experience with paper crafting, this is not something that needs a whole lot of explanation. I had this idea to do this last night. I have insomnia, so when I was laying in bed last night, not sleeping, I thought, it'd be kind of fun to do a file folder signature rather than do 3 signatures. So I'm going to do 2 signatures, which I haven't, other than starting to curate and gather papers and whatnot. I'm not ready to start yet because I am out of coffee stained paper and I have bunch drying in my kitchen, but I think I have the world's smallest kitchen, so I can't do a whole lot of paper at one time. So obviously you can see I'm inking the whole thing. I think I'm going to reinforce the spine, probably with just cardstock. Okay, so that's everything. Everything inked up. Now I want to do my spine. I think I might just do not even cardstock, just a little bit of some of my scraps. An inch wide and the height of the file folder. Grab my small mat. And score it. Quarter of an inch. Oops. Kind of scored that. I did not do a very good job. Fold that. And that's going to go right on the inside. And hopefully kind of disappear is what I'm hoping. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac, because that's what I've got handy right now. It doesn't really matter what kind of glue you use as long as it's something that's going to hold. Fabri-Tac happens to be my favorite overall crafting glue, but yeah, whatever you have handy is good. everybody's doing well today, having a good weekend. And the weather is good where you are. And that you're enjoying it. Today's a beautiful fall day. Fall's my favorite season, but we've not had a whole lot of fall here in Virginia. Everything has been it's been kind of warm. Okay. I don't know if that was drying or if I just missed a spot, or if that's what landed all on my fingers. Man, I did a bad job of gluing. I know this is almost empty, so I'm sure that's me just not getting enough glue on there. And one thing about Fabri-Tac, if it oozes out, it cleans up really easily if you get it before it completely dries, which is awesome. And a little bit was hanging over the edge. I want to trim that off. I think that looks really good. And it's folding well, so I think it's time. To put our pockets in. So I'm going to glue this just on the left side and the bottom. I'm going to leave this side open. One way I make sure that I don't accidentally glue the wrong side is always hold it on the side that I'm not putting the glue on. I need to grab another bottle here. This one is empty. So I'm going to give this a bead of glue all the way around. On the left side and then the bottom edge. Aligning it on the bottom and then just to the right of the fold. I don't want it to get caught up in the fold. And then the small pocket is going to go here. And I'm just going to glue down the three sides, obviously. Keep the top open. A little bit of ooze there on the side. But not a big deal. And then I'm going to put the other pocket on the left, and then it'll be time to embellish. My favorite part. if you want to use double-sided tape instead of glue, that would be great also. Or if you want to stitch on yours, that would be fine too. Just my preference for this project is keeping that outside looking like a file folder, so I don't want any stitching on mine. But if you make one of these and have a different different idea in mind how you would use it, obviously do what works best for you. Yeah, I made a gluey mess today. All right, pretty pleased so far with how that's turning out. Looks like a file folder, but just the right size to go on the cover of my book. I think something like this would be really cute in an entomology book or a bird book, or lots of different different themes. Something like this would be really cute in to have botanicals, or I think you could do a lot of fun things with this. And I was thinking about just probably tearing this out, putting it on the front of the file folder, and kind of as a place to start with the embellishment. The back just has Sherlock's address on it, so nothing too fancy, but I thought that would be kind of a fun place to start. Maybe put a book page behind there. And I was thinking of trying to make sure to keep it vintagey, like something found in Shakespeare's, or not Shakespeare, sorry. I'm currently teaching Macbeth and just finished teaching Romeo and Juliet. In Sherlock's attic is kind of where my mind was going with making this grungy and vintagey. So that's kind of what my mindset is. But of course, if you don't like grungy and you don't like the vintage look, I think this is still a project that would be super cute in with a lot of different themes. So I'm just going to do some embellishing. I've got some ideas of what I want to put inside, and I think I'm going to make it, like I said at the beginning, make it a journal, or a signature in the journal, so it'll have some blank pages in there for journaling as well. And I think I'm going to sew it in as if it were a signature, although I may change my mind and just have it as an insert. I haven't quite decided yet. And I think I'd like to put some book page in the back. And maybe grunge it up a little bit more. And I think I will do something from A Study in Scarlet to put behind there. the top. I don't like all that white up there, but I want the title, to keep the title. Something like that. Even leave this open as a pocket, or open here on the side as a pocket. So many choices, so many choices. But keep my vintage theme going. I'm gonna ink this up. Page a little bit. Something simple, I think. I mean, after all, if it was Sherlock's file folder for one of his real cases, I don't think he'd have it overly embellished. Hey, cat. Excuse me, kind of in my way. I was trying to get this video finished before the cat woke up from her nap. But she has a sixth sense about these kinds of things. And I don't think I'm going to make it a pocket. As I already said, I don't want this to get too bulky. And once I add a half dozen pieces of paper in there and some ephemera, it's going to be thick enough. It doesn't need any more bulkiness. The spine of that book is just not that big, and I have a tendency to go way overboard. I'm a lot better. I have a lot more control now, but when I first started journaling, some of my first journals were seriously out of control. And on the back, give this a little extra ink. And a little glue. Now the dryer just finished, the cat's awake. It's probably time for me to finish this up for now. But so far, I'm feeling pretty good. I had really no idea when I started what I was going to do. I just knew I wanted some kind of a file folder, like a case file for Sherlock. I might make a case file label to put on here. I have to dig out my typewriter for that, but that'll be fun. I have to put something there, and I think I'm going to leave it on the outside as is. On the inside, I have lots of labels that I think will embellish it up just a little bit. You can see I've got a nice big pocket here, got a nice, nice pocket here, and then this nice pocket, and just enough room to put a few papers. And these are some of the things I was thinking about putting in there as papers for just a small signature. I'm hoping, and this I'm going to, I just love this. I don't know how old it is, but it is definitely vintage. And I cut off the bottom so that it can be a pocket. And I think I will make one side smaller than the other. Perfect. And maybe a couple pieces of coffee stained paper. It's way too big. I'm going to have to cut it down about an inch from the top, inch from the sides. This is heavier paper than I normally use. I think this is like 60-pound paper. And I don't want to put a lot in here, but I would like to have, I think, a few sheets of paper. Kind of like to mix it up when I'm putting papers together so that it's all, they're, different sizes, different textures, all mixed up together. And I think it can handle a few more. And I'm really not measuring at all. These are super grungy papers. They're literally all I have left in my stash, except the ones that are drying in the kitchen. But the paper is so thick, you can't use a whole lot in a journal if you embellish at all. So I wanted so I generally don't use this very often, but I think this is a good project. cat's on the floor behind my chair playing with something. Had to check what it was, because the last time she did that, woke up from her nap, came in here and started playing. She had found a snake down in the basement, a baby snake. And it's definitely not the time of year for baby snakes in the basement, but I'm a little paranoid. Okay, cute. And so I'll, put a tag in here. I've got my notebook and my little journal, and I'll put all sorts of fun stuff in here. It'll be a fun small signature for my Sherlock Holmes journal. Where's my cover? Perfect. Love it. Love it. So, thank you for joining me today. I went way over my normal time. I apologize for that. But thank you for joining me today, so I could, while I made this little mini file folder, case file for my Sherlock Holmes journal, and I hope you give it a try. Maybe think outside of the box for your signatures in your journals. Having a little mini file folder with the file folder as a cover for a signature, I think is a fun idea. And you can use it in lots of things, not just like a Sherlock Holmes journal, even though that's what why I thought this would be a good idea today. If you make one, I'd love to see it. You can post pictures on our Facebook page. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. And if you want to get notifications, just click the bell, and you'll be notified every time we have a new video. And you can find us on Etsy at ideastimestwo, on Instagram at ideastimestwo, on Facebook is at ideastimestwo. So thank you so much for joining me today. Have a fantastic week. Happy crafting, and I will see you later. Bye-bye, everybody.